ready to teach?
No. I talked to Court. And we sat there for a week. Oh, they supposed to go home and work from home yesterday.
Oh, your electricity went out too? Yeah, because I went to the dentist yesterday morning
Well,
to get two new crowns, and their power was
Jack
out
Mark, the
over there on.
person hoping.
I heard like 4,500 tones.
Gosh, bills went up.
Yeah, and they said,
They text all the time to each
and
other.
Dr. Homer said, well, I sat there for quite a while, and they told some people to go home for 4 weeks. I said, you just get rid of them. What is get you guys? Finally, Dr. Homer came up and said, come back here, we're going to see, because one of my temporary had fallen out. He said, we're going to see, and if we can't get them, then we'll just put temporary. Well, both of those treatment ones worked. He got him in with flashlight, but his assistant held a flashlight, they got him in.
We used to have meetings about every 2 months.
So anyway,
In person, in the building somewhere, and they start
but now they said it
texting.
wouldn't be back on. My appointment was 10, and they said it would be at least by 1. But I had gone through downtown, and the lights were.
We tried to get the teachers,
And I
I
thought,
guess, a
oh,
couple months
here,
ahead of time.
right there,
Because
the
each quarter
square,
takes
Page Square.
Sunday night, Wednesday
Oh
night,
dear, this
right
is gonna be
now.
crazy.
Well, they had,
Sunday night, 1, 2, 3 classes
at
off.
the intersection of Bruce and Harvey.
There's 3 off.
There was
And
it.
cop there directing that.
Good.
Cop the next intersection.
She do Sunday
But
night.
then the main intersection over.
Because it was out
Our
too.
water teacher sometime on
Oh,
Yeah.
resurrection, one
Nobody
have
was direction traffic there. And
nice.
nobody wanted to wait there.
Sunday night, been doing excellence.
That is a bad, busy one.
And I thought, of all them places, the other
Class
didn't really.
for mix of families. Fourth remarried.
They learn a lot.
They've been wanting that for a while.
Somebody, you know, they're working on cars. I just think they get along or something. I haven't heard for sure. Something big. To be out that long, because, you know, sometimes ours will go up. I see all the time, but they only do 30. But this was so.
Well, they've got 1 more month.
Hopefully.
Check your service. I was thinking of saying hilarious class.
It's like a treat. Is that loud?
Well, he's got
Just make him out.
You never know. Let's go.
But he's got a good one. I don't wear mine. I wear his pants. He's got a good one. Yeah. Oh, I know. Think about those recharges going in. I always look at that. Yeah. So, anyway.
Last summer,
Well, this year.
he did an Indian Jonathan Cobb.
Yeah, that's nice. He was going to show you the other night. He was carrying it. Sunday night, he said, I didn't get to show Leslie the life, right? Yeah, that was very nice.
Real quick. He just paired Lincoln Memphis with Mississippi.
He has got so much to do, but he doesn't have his phone on his side. He leaves that.
God, I'm up here to build her.
What, the phone? Well, John doesn't know much. Because, he had me to read all his messages the other day, and I think we deleted the important one, but I found out we had ordered checks from the bank, and I think they called, but I went by there today. She said, well, we called, and he looked at his phone, and he says, yes, man, all those deleted ones you did. I said, because I didn't even bother to look. He said, just delete them all. I said, okay. So, everybody told me to.
son Drew lived on Chicago. Used to be a Frigidaire factory
I
there.
think that, yeah.
Right.
Son your fifty.
Yeah, it's a mattress shop now, Slim Chief.
Okay.
On the backside.
It used to be that old hospital place right on, College. Happy used to be there.
Yeah, but this, she's
Oh,
talking about
they've
this
got
road there.
head start throughout town.
This was the old hospital. They could take whatever they wanted. This was probably 20 years ago. What is it? Oh, well, I know. The main hospital was, I'm talking like old, but they converted it into this building where the capital was, but now it's a, I think it's a hospital. Yeah, years ago, they did somebody was talking about it the other day, they said, things change. But yeah, it's across the street, it's south of where the hospital is going.
We've been here long enough to realize that Lowe is used, out here using the cow ranch. Now it's where the house.
Oh, we've seen a lot of,
How long have y'all been here?
we've seen a lot of things. A lot of the places, yeah, it used to be coming from this, we've seen a lot of those yeah, a lot of them, still places.
Good evening, church. Great to see everybody out tonight. Just a few things before Brother Don leads us in a couple songs and we head to Bible classes. Want to make you aware of. We announced several of these things to just give you updates that we've learned over the last couple of days. Sister Wanda Bryant has been in Conway Regional, had several small strokes. They're still figuring everything out that's going on with her. Request no visitors at this time, but to be prayerful for Sister Wanda Bryant. Also, you probably have heard that our sister Barbara Knight was placed on hospice care this past weekend, and did get an update that it's most likely she's in her last days or maybe even hours, so make sure you keep the Knight family in your prayers during this difficult time with them. Also, this weekend, we had several of our family here lose family members. Our brother Justin Nunn lost his father, Roy, Sunday. That family is going to have a small memorial service at the home on Saturday. So keep Justin and Margot and the Nunn family in your prayers with the loss of Justin's father, Roy. Also, Sherry Easton's sister passed away Sunday. Be prayerful for Sister Sherry and the loss of her sister. That visitation is tonight in Piggott, the funeral tomorrow in Piggott as well. And also continue to keep our brother Keith Henson in your prayers. You probably remember he lost his mom a couple weeks ago, and Keith lost his dad Larry this past Sunday as well. So that visitation is tonight and funeral tomorrow in Jonesboro for Larry Henson. To keep Keith and Penny and the family in your prayers. Rough couple weeks for them, definitely. Have several things coming up to make you aware of. The next ladies' Bible class will be next Tuesday, November the 1st at 10 o'clock. So hopefully you ladies can join for that. The R&C Sewing Circle, the next project day is Saturday, November the 5th from 10 to 2. You need to bring your own lunch and machines. If you have any questions on that, you can see Betty Ann Edwards. If you have placed membership in the last few months here at Robinson and Center, there's going to be a new member dinner. That's going to be Sunday, November the 6th, so not this coming Sunday, but the next Sunday at 11 o'clock in the fellowship room. We ask if you're new, please attend. Help you get acquainted with us and plugged in here at RNC. We're glad that you're here, and it's a good way for you to get to know some people. So new member dinner, if you've placed membership in the last few months here at RNC, we ask that you come join that new member dinner on Sunday, November the 6th. Trunk or Treat is coming up this Sunday evening. After Bible classes, there is a sign-up sheet to decorate trunks. Many of you stepped up and signed up for that. We're appreciative of that, but there is still some more slots available if you are willing to come and decorate your trunk. We'll have plenty of candy if you can't provide your own or need some more. We have plenty of people donating candy, and if you would like to bring some candy, you can leave that at the info desk. But hopefully you'll plan to come and enjoy that night with us this coming Sunday night for Trunk or Treat. Also, just a reminder, our Sunday night Bible classes, all adult Bible classes, will meet in the auditorium starting this Sunday evening through the next 5 Sundays through the end of the quarter for a speaker series. This Sunday night, we're excited. Todd McMillan's going to be back with us speaking to us this Sunday night, so we're excited to have Todd coming in, one of our own. Coming in from Crowley's to preach the word to us this coming Sunday night for all adult Bible classes. So hopefully you'll be here for that. Once again, it is great to see everyone here tonight, and we'll turn it over to Don.
We sing a couple songs before we dismiss the class, after which we will be directed in word of prayer by Josh Beal. There's a message true and glad for the sinful and sad. Bring it out, bring it out. It will give and encourage you, and it will help them to be true. Bring it out, bring it out, bring out. Memory, the word, speed away, for message time, sending gates to the far from it. Lost On Zion's glorious summit stood a numerous souls redeemed by blood. They hymned their King in strength divine. I heard the song and stroll to joy. I heard the song and stroll to joy. Hear all who suffer scorn or fame or truth for Jesus' holy name shall victory now and hail the land. Run proudly for the great I am. And bow before the great I am. While everlasting ages roll, eternal love shall feast their soul, and seeds of bliss forever new. Rise in succession to their view. Rise in succession to their view. Holy, holy, holy Lord, God of hosts, I adore. Who might be the gracious King, Almighty, holy, holy, holy Lord, God of hosts, I adore.
Our Heavenly Father, holy is your name. We come this evening in worship and in praise to you for all that you are and all that you do. We ask, Father, that you accept the words of the song, you accept the emotions that pour forth from our hearts, that you accept our worship before you, and that we go away from this time feeling empowered by being here in the presence of one another and in your presence. Father, as we leave this place, go on to our classes, we ask that you would usher us into the classrooms with ears that are willing to listen and hearts that are open to your word. Be with the teachers as they can share what they can from your word and from their lives, something to teach, maybe something to encourage, something to lift us up, something to inform us, so that we can have a closer relationship with you. Father, be with the teachers that they'll be able to give the clear and sound instruction that they want to give. And be with the rest of us as listeners that will be paying close attention to how the words that are shared with us, the examples shared with us, might impact us and make us stronger, help us to grow, and help us to serve and be a better example to others in this world. Father, we're thankful for this beautiful evening that we've had together and excited for what is yet to come tonight as we worship together and spend time together as a body. And we're thankful for this church and what it means to us, and thankful that you have done so much for all of us and for this body, especially through Jesus. And it's in
Can you click on that at the top where it says slideshow? There's a presentation button. Right, yeah, right there. Click that, please. Oh, you were on it, right there. Where it says slideshow? Yes. Okay. All right. Can you guys hear me? You know, you can turn it on. Unless I put it all the way out, I can't really hear myself. Tonight, we're going to be talking about staying up all night, searching. And this will be my last night, so for some of you, you're like, yeah, let's move on. And then other people, well, I'm not going to go to other people. We're happy. I'm just saying, we're happy.
Jeremy?
Yes. Yeah. Oh, okay. Am I on now? All right. Oh, there I am. Hello. Check, check, check. You know, when speakers have these mics on, they got to be careful not to look down and say stuff because it's right there. Okay. Anyway. So tonight we're going to be talking about searching for the truth. And as always, we're going to start off with a quick question, something to think about. Have you ever been up all night, or at least very late, searching for something or exploring something new? Have you ever been up all night searching for something or exploring something new? What are some reasons that you might have been up all night long? I realize that's a yes or no question. I try not to ask those in class because you don't get much of a response. Yes. Okay, now what? But what are some reasons you may have stayed up late at night searching? I'm going to start calling on people if I don't see hands. Go ahead.
Back before I retired, I would go through my next day's projects or week's projects.
Yeah.
And once that started, I might as well just get up because I'm not going to get any rest.
Right. Your mind's already working. And
Yeah, because my mind started working. But when I retired, that was one of the things I didn't have to deal with at all.
Right. Sleep through the night. And I bet, you know, when you're up thinking about that project, it opens up new questions and things that you need to solve. Yeah. Well, that's one thing I thought about was up searching for things for work. And I don't know everybody's line of work here. I teach school, and so I could very well be up late grading papers, coming up with lesson plans. Hopefully, if I'm smart, I've already made those lesson plans, so I'm not having to come up with brand new ones. But the grading papers thing is a pain in my side. What are some other reasons you may be up late searching? Yes, ma'am.
When I started doing ancestry research, just something radical.
Right.
You look up and hours.
That's right. I do that a lot with YouTube. And because you'll watch a video on YouTube and it links to another one and another one. And I think, wait a minute, I was initially looking up videos on the Arkansas Razorbacks and I ended up looking at porcupines living in Russia. I don't know. I'm just, that, you know, you start here and you end up way over there. But you're excited about something. You're up late and you go down a rabbit hole. Netflix is the same way because, you know, when you finish an episode, it auto starts the next one. So you could be up late searching, I suppose. Yes, sir.
I don't know if anybody like this, but have they seen Montevilla cops?
Mm-hmm. And does that keep you up late? Okay. Is it exciting?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm so glad that y'all said that. Everybody said something I had thought about. And just a little inside information, I don't come up with these. I actually look at the scriptures first, and then I come back and I put these on here. So one thing we may be up all night searching is we're excited about something. It's a new TV show or a project we're doing, or maybe mindless videos. And we just keep going and we go and we go. And then before you know it, it's 2 in the morning. Something else I thought about was perhaps you're searching for the answer to a big problem. I'm thinking a personal problem you're trying to deal with. And it makes it hard to sleep. And then something else, and what we started with is, that's out, is questions about work. So, there's something going on at work, and I tell people not to talk like this. Don't say you're just a teacher. You're a teacher. You're not just a teacher. But I realize I'm not saving lives. So I imagine if I was a surgeon and I've got a big surgery the next day with someone's life in my hand, I may be up late searching for answers and preparing and getting myself ready to go into surgery. But still, you could be up late searching for answers for work, whatever that line of work is. Well, what we're going to do is we're going to explore both the Old and the New Testament, and we're going to look at different reasons people throughout the Bible were up late at night searching for the answers. And as we do this, you'll find some of the very same things that you guys said initially. They are excited about something. They have answers, or they want to find answers to big problems, and also work. We're going to start with Psalms chapter 16, if you want to turn there. Psalms chapter 16. Psalms chapter 16, and it really just highlights verse 7, but I'm going to read the whole thing, starting at verse 1. Keep me safe, my God, for in you I take refuge. I say to the Lord, you are my Lord. Apart from you I have no good thing. I say of the holy people who are in the land, they are the noble ones in whom is all my delight. Those who run from other gods will suffer more and more. I will not pour out libations of blood to such gods, or take up their names on my lips. Lord, you alone are my portion and my cup. You make my lot secure. The boundary lines I have fallen for me in pleasant places. Surely I have a delightful inheritance. And this is what we want to focus on. I will praise the Lord who counsels me. Even at night, my heart instructs me. I will keep my eyes always on the Lord. With him in my right hand, I will not be shaken. We'll stop right there. So, sometimes we may be up late at night searching when we should be resting. And what I thought about with this verse is how excited David is as he searches and he yearns for God. There have been times where I've been excited and it's made it hard for me to sleep. Number one is Christmas. Very specifically, I remember spending the night at my grandparents' house, LV and Maxine Pfeiffer, back in Searcy. And it was kind of a neat Christmas because everybody was there. And I don't just mean my core family, but aunts and uncles and cousins. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 8, 10. We had about 10, 11 people there. It was really neat. And I could not sleep that night. I was so excited, if not for Christmas, but because everybody was there. And so, of course, I was up, and my mind was working, and I was thinking about Christmas and breakfast and all the games and all the fun things that we were going to do. I don't really get like that now. When it's time for bed, it's time for bed. It's not hard for me to go to sleep. It's tough for my wife to go to sleep. She's got, the temperature's got to be just right, and she's got to have the fan on, but she's got to have 2 covers, and on and on and on. But I can just go to sleep anytime. But now, instead of being up late excited about Christmas, it may be something else, whatever I'm into at the moment. Just like y'all said, maybe it's Ancestry.com and I'm going down rabbit holes. Maybe I'm watching videos, Netflix, YouTube, whatever. Maybe we got a new, I'm trying to think of something, a new TV. We got a brand new TV, and And I'm just fiddling with all the settings and messing with it and playing with it all night long. I'm just so excited. But in this psalm, David, who tells of all the blessings the Lord has given him, preservation, goodness, inheritance, and on, David's devotion is so strong and his heart is so loyal. In verse 7, it says that David's heart is also instructed even at night. David is up all night meditating and searching for God, thinking and focusing on Scripture, thinking about how wonderful and amazing God is, which reminds me a lot of what you guys said about being excited, staying up late, doing what you do. The next thing we're going to look at is, we're still in the book of Psalms. We're going to look at Psalms chapter 77. So staying in the same book, just flipping over quite a few pages. Psalms chapter 77. We're going to key in on just a few verses, but so we get the context, I want to start at the beginning. In Psalms chapter 77, it reads, I cried out to God to help. I cried out to God to hear me. When I was in distress, I sought the Lord. At night, I stretched out untiring hands, and I would not be comforted. I remember you, God, and I groaned. I meditated, and my spirit grew faint. You kept my eyes from closing. I was too troubled to speak. I thought about the former days, the years long ago. I remembered my song in the night. My heart meditated, and my spirit asked, will the Lord reject forever? Will he never show his favor again? Has his unfailing love vanished forever? Has his promise failed for all time? Has God forgotten to be merciful? Has he in anger withheld his compassion? Then, you know what? I want to just stop right there. We're going to read the rest of this. But let's just stop right there. So, in the first section of this, it's quick to figure out that the person, Asaph, I had to look up that name. Asaph was up all night in great distress, worried. He thought God had abandoned him. And it was making it tough for him to sleep because he kept asking and searching, where is God? Do not raise your hands. But I wonder how many people in their heart have thought this very same thing. And I don't know exactly what's going on here, but in your life, I'm curious about what might have happened that perhaps would cause you to ask questions. And I don't necessarily think there's anything wrong with asking questions. I think that actually shows a lot of honesty and openness. But I think what's more important is not asking the question, but where you end up after you ask that question. And not just leaving that question hanging in the air, but finding the answer to that question and hopefully ending up in a good place. But he was asking the question, where are you, God? I groaned and meditated. My spirit grew faint. Will the Lord reject forever? Will he never show his favor again? But it continues, picking up in verse 10. Then I thought, to this I will appeal. The years when the Most High stretched out his right hand. I will remember the deeds of the Lord. Yes, I will remember your miracles of long ago. I will consider all your works and meditate on your mighty deeds. Your ways, O God, are holy. What God is as great as our God? You are the God who performs miracles. You display your power among people. With your mighty arm, you redeemed your people, the descendants of Jacob and Joseph. So as you continue to read, you find out as this person continues to search and ask these very deep, thought-provoking questions, he begins to find the answer. And the answer, and what I believe that many of us have to do, is that when we are in the depths of despair and we're asking the questions, woe is me, why me? We have to stop. This is hard. To stop, take a breath, and try to reflect on all the good that has happened to us in our lives. Not even look for the good in the moment. That's extremely hard. But to go back through our lives and think about the ups and downs that God has taken us through and all the wonderful things that he has blessed us with up until the moment that we are dealing with whatever issue is going on with us. It's helpful to enumerate all the different ways that God has blessed our lives. And it's in this perspective that it can help to pull us out of this dark, deep well and begin to see the light again. That is easier said than done. It's easier said than done. It seems like all these moments occur late at night. I imagine, well, I know it's dark. Late at night, dark. And I imagine when you're also alone and by yourself. I think loneliness, for me at least, is one of the worst feelings in the world. Being alone by yourself, having no one to turn to, no one to lean on. And whether that's an actual physical loneliness, there's nobody around me in this big room late at night at 2 in the morning, that's kind of scary. Or if I'm just thinking about my life and people I might have abandoned by my words and actions or people who have left me, that loneliness is tough. But it's in that loneliness that we do have to stop and try to remember all the good and all the wonderful things God has done for us. And not get so, and I think I said this last week, caught up in looking at the trees that we don't see the bigger picture. We see the forest. Try and reflect on that. A really good example of this is, I said last week I've got a heart condition. And one of the biggest things I can reflect on when things get tough for me, especially with my health, is that when I was in college, not even in college, when I had graduated college in May, in June, I went for my annual heart checkup, thought it'd just be another, yeah, you got a problem, but everything's fine, don't do anything stupid. All right. Well, I go in and they say, well, we've been watching this for a while and we think it's time for you to have surgery. Okay. Well, I'd had heart caths before, but they said, no, you need open heart surgery. I said, all right, well, that's kind of heavy. I just graduated. My summer plans were to go on interviews and find a job and get a teaching job somewhere in September. But instead I was going to have surgery, open heart surgery. I was 23, 24, something like that. And I know it's selfish, but my first thought is, I'm going to look terrible. I'm going to have a scar on my chest. I could care less about that right now. But at any rate, then it got really scary because he said, this is kind of an emergency situation. He said, don't exercise, don't do anything strenuous, don't pick up more than 30 pounds, and we're going to schedule the surgery for, he didn't really look at his watch, but we're going to schedule the surgery for 3 weeks. So it's kind of an emergency surgery. Very scary. Well, to make a long story short, had the surgery, things worked out fine. I couldn't get a teaching job that fall because, of course, I was recovering from open heart surgery. It takes, I think, 3 months to recover. And it's not so much the heart as much as it is the chest and the breastbone. Well, throughout the next year, I was able to sub throughout the district. And many times when they'd have someone out for a long period of time, a lady's going to have a baby or some other health condition, they'd call me in because they're like, hey, you're young, you have a degree, you know what you're doing, why don't you come sub for us? And I did 3 different long-term subs at different schools for anywhere from a couple of weeks to a couple of months. Well, the following year, a job opened up at the school that I'm at now. And of course, I say the school that I'm at now, you know where this is going. And when I went to interview, the first thing, before I even said it, I didn't even say it. The first thing that was said to me was, hey, we know this guy. He subbed for us lots of different times. He did a really, really good job. And then I went in with my interview. And I really think that kind of sealed the deal because I essentially had a year-long interview. And that wouldn't have happened if I didn't have that surgery and essentially was forced to sit out for a year. So what do they say? Hindsight is 20/20, right? It's that perspective. And you have to, as hard as it is, look back and think about things like that and how it all worked out. Let's move on and let's go to the New Testament. And these examples either deal with Jesus or Peter. So we're going to go to, you can go to Mark chapter 1 or Luke chapter 4. It tells the same story. I'm going to turn to Mark. Mark chapter 1, verses 29 through 38. As soon as they left the synagogue, they went with James and John to the home of Simon and Andrew. Simon's mother-in-law was in bed with a fever, and they immediately told Jesus about her. So he went up to her, took her hand, and helped her up. The fever left her, and she began to wait on him. That evening, after sunset, the people brought to Jesus all the sick and demon-possessed. The whole town gathered at the door, and Jesus healed many who had various diseases. He also drove out many demons, but he would not let the demons speak because they knew who he was. Verse 35, very early in the morning, while it was still dark, Jesus got up, left the house, and went off to a solitary place where he prayed. Simon and his companions went to look for him. And when they found him, they exclaimed, "Everyone is looking for you." Jesus replied, "Let us go somewhere else, to the nearby villages, so I can preach there also. That is why I have come." So he traveled throughout Galilee, preaching in their synagogues and driving out demons. Jesus was searching up late at night for a solitary place to pray and to start the day. He was up late at night, essentially at work, if you want to think about it that way, healing the sick and driving out demons. And before he started his day, he wanted to get up early, which, getting up early, staying up late, that's half a dozen other. But he wanted to get up early to start his day in prayer. One thing I thought about with this was how you begin your day. My typical routine usually starts with getting up and making a little cup of coffee, and I take the dog out. And he's a big dog, so we're not going out the yard for 5 minutes. We have to go for a walk. And I know this sounds burdensome, and you're like, every morning? Yes, every single morning. But really, it's a nice way to start the day. Because as I walk, I can meditate and I can pray. And I don't mean the kind of weird meditation you see on TV, where you're humming and all that stuff. But I can think about my day and what I plan to do. And usually I'm going through my school day and what I want to teach, what I got to do after school. On the weekend, it's whatever fun activities I have. But it's a nice way to start the day with a nice cup of coffee, taking the dog out for a stroll. We're out for 15, 20 minutes. And I can think through my day. Often I have my phone on me, and I'm checking the bank account, making sure we're square there. It's a nice way to start the day. Often when I'm on YouTube, I'll sometimes watch these influencers. And that probably threw my credibility out the window. But what I'm watching for usually are fitness people. Health and fitness. I don't care about lifestyle. But a lot of them say, start your day with meditation. And what they mean by that is, getting up and starting the day in a focused state of mind. Now, I don't know if you know what meditation is, and I'm not here to talk about that. But again, it's not the Eastern philosophy, humming and chanting and that nonsense. What they're talking about, what I'm talking about, is starting your day trying to focus on something. And I don't know about you, but it's very hard for me to focus my mind and be still. I mean, I can be still physically, but my mind is everywhere. And I used to think that was good, especially as a kid. I was like, I'm creative. But when I try to start doing this, I cannot make my mind still and think about one thing, whether it's breathing or praying. Have you ever noticed that when you try to pray? Especially, I don't know, if there's other things going on around you, or maybe if you're by yourself, you start praying, and before you know it, you're thinking about what you're going to have for dinner that night. What am I doing? Bring it back. It helps if I speak out loud, tremendously, but then I look like a weirdo talking to myself. So maybe if I'm by myself, I can do that. But if I'm praying silently to myself, my mind is like this. So maybe instead of starting the day in a meditation and focusing on breathing, we can try and start the day as Jesus did in prayer. And And I'm willing to bet that it's also hard for you to keep your mind focused, especially if you're moving beyond the 30-second, 1-minute prayer that you knock out before dinner or maybe at bedtime. But if you're trying to, and it doesn't say how long he prayed, it just says he went off to pray. If you're trying to spend some significant time in prayer, there's a good chance that your mind is going to be wandering. And so it's a good mental exercise of staying focused and also starting your day in prayer. It's a good way to begin the day. And then you can have your cup of coffee and walk the dog. One of my heroes is someone you might have known him, Mr. Rogers. And I don't know him, but I watched him growing up. That show was going off the air when I was growing up. So his last show was in the early 90s, 92, 93. And so I watched them all through the 80s when I was a young kid. And I liked the trolley, I liked the imagination, and I liked him, but he was just the host. I didn't think about it. Now that I'm older and I have kids of my own and I teach school, I really focus on him as the man. And there's a lot of great things you can say about him, but one thing I like about him is a story I heard of how he begins his day. A book titled The Simple Faith of Mr. Rogers was published on the 50th anniversary of his children's program. The author, Amy Hollingsworth's friendship with Mr. Rogers began with a television interview and was followed by dozens of letters. In her book, she described Mr. Rogers as a man of prayer. Now, if you didn't know his history, he went to school to be a minister. And for whatever reason, that didn't pan out. And so he got into the television, and he thought, I can minister to children through my program. And it wasn't an outright religious series, but if you think about his show and the way he is, it was a very love, very faith-centered type of show. She writes that his daily routine began at 5 a.m. with prayer, reflection, and Bible reading. Each morning he prayed for his family and friends by name. The prayers continued into his workday. And it goes on to talk about how he had a certain prayer that he would pray before he began his show. Dear God, let some word that is heard be yours, he told me during our first meeting. Not only were his spoken words on television a focus of prayer, but also the numerous decisions that he had to be making daily. So he began his day in prayer. And it's not in this story, but I've read that he would pray for people by name when they sent him letters. He would pull out the letter and pray for them by name. And that focus continued through the day as he went to work, and it really set the tone for the day. And just as Jesus did before him, started the day in prayer, it's a great way for us to start our day as well. Whether we're up all night or we're getting up early, it's a good way to begin the day. One more, and we'll call it a night. Luke chapter 5. Again, this is a dual verse here. Luke chapter 5 or John 21. They tell the same story. I'm going to begin in Luke 5. All right, Luke chapter 5, verses 1 through 11. One day, as Jesus was standing by the lake of Gennesaret, the people were crowding around him and listening to the word of God. He saw at the water's edge 2 boats left there by the fishermen who were washing their nets. He got into one of the boats, the one belonging to Simon, and asked him to put out a little from the shore. Then he sat down and taught the people from the boat. When he finished speaking, he said to Simon, "Put out into the deep water and let down the nets for a catch." Simon answered, "Master, we've worked hard all night and haven't caught anything. But because you say so, I will let down the nets." When they had done so, they caught such a large number of fish that their nets began to break. So they signaled their partners to the other boat to come and help them. And they came and filled both boats so full that it began to sink. When Simon Peter saw this, he fell on Jesus' knees and said, "Go away from me, Lord, I am a sinful man." For he and all his companions were astonished at the catch of fish they had taken. And so were James and John, the sons of Zebedee, Simon's partners. Then Jesus said to Simon, "Don't be afraid. From now on, you will fish for people." So they pulled their boats up on shore and left everything and followed him. John 21 tells a similar story more towards the end of his ministry. But both of these occasions, Peter and his companions have fished all night long and caught nothing. In both examples, Jesus tells Peter where to find fish, and this serves as a powerful metaphor for what his future preaching and teaching would look like as he continued Jesus' ministry. You know, as I thought about this, one of the things I thought was amazing is that Peter was a professional fisherman. That was his job. That was his career. And the man who knew what he was doing, I suppose he owned his own boat, was up all night long fishing and caught nothing. And then the day the sun rises, he's on shore, he's gathering his nets and rigging up the boat. I don't know, I don't fish. But as he's doing this humble carpenter comes walking along and says, "Hey, why don't you throw your nets there?" Now, I don't know about you, but if I was the expert fisherman and this carpenter came up to me and told me how to do my job, I'd think, "Are you kidding? Who are you to tell me what to do? I see a hammer and nails. Why don't you go work on that?" But he didn't. He didn't have the kind of jaded, biting response that we may have living today. But he said, "Because you said it, I'll do it." And what happened? They caught so many fish that the boat began to sink. And they had to call their co-workers over to come help drag up all these fish into the boat. They were up all night long, essentially at work, and hadn't accomplished their goal. Whether you think about your work, I don't know what the end goal of your work might be. For me, it may be grading that last paper. It may be finishing that project. Perhaps it's finishing some paperwork on a patient if you're in the medical field. But the point is, they were up all night long. Jesus told them where to fish. He's not the expert. They were, yet they caught so many fish, the boat was overflowing. Of course, this doubles as a metaphor for what Peter and the other apostles would be doing later in life as they became fishers of men. But you know what? It also teaches that Jesus always provides fish for us, fish in quotations, even if we think we have worked all night and exhausted our efforts. It also teaches us humility, that even the best of us can learn a little something if we'll only stop and listen to what Jesus has to tell us. So, what does this have to do with me? Well, a lot of times in life, we are pulled in different directions. Just to review, we may be pulled out of excitement for some new project, for a new TV show, a new television. We may be pulled in a direction because of a stressful situation, something we're worried about. We're searching for answers. We think God has abandoned us. We may be pulled in a direction of meditation and prayer, trying to start our day on the right foot. And also, we could be pulled in the direction of work. But through it all, one thing we have to remember is who do we turn to and who do we seek in times of wisdom, in times of need. There's a lot of different answers that you hear on TV and you see in the news and you hear from family and friends. But I dare say that we all know the number one answer here in this room that we need to turn to. And that's turning to God and searching for the answers, both through His Word and prayer. If you're in need of searching, you can rest assured that help is on the way. Psalms chapter 30, verse 5, and I'll end with this, says, "For His anger lasts only a moment, but His favor lasts a lifetime. Weeping may stay for the night, but rejoicing comes in the morning." Continue to search for God. Try not to get caught up in the woe is me, and reflect on all the good that has been done. Start your day in meditation with prayer, and don't think you know it all, because sometimes a simple desert carpenter may point the way and tell us what we really need to know. That's all I have for tonight. Next week is Jack Martin. And what will you be teaching, Jack? Next week? Yes, sir.